He was someone who was silenced, so to speak, for the simple crime of having an opinion and talking about it publicly. And obviously it means a lot to me because I'm someone who does that too. Obviously on a much smaller scale, but this could happen to anyone in today's political climate. Who knows who could be next? But I think what surprised me the most wasn't even necessarily the incident itself, because this kind of stuff happens in the political space, but it was the reaction of masses of people online. Because if you scroll under any video, especially the ones on left-wing platforms, you'll see tons of top comments just celebrating and mocking what happened, coming from the people that call themselves tolerant progressives and are empathetic and compassionate. And I genuinely don't know how people don't understand this, but regardless of whether or not you agree with what he has to say, even if you think his opinions are horrible and inhumane even, you could call it that, it's fair. Still, the truth is that he's never committed an actual crime, he never perpetrated an act of violence on anyone, he never did anything to kids like many politicians do, he never attacked or insulted you or me personally. So it just doesn't make sense to all the people who are so angry at someone like Charlie Kirk for talking to college kids and even letting out their seething hatred after a tragedy. Where's all that outrage and righteous indignation for, the literal super predators on our streets who are actually committing senseless acts of violence every single day for years and years on end? A guy who literally all he does is talk for a living, has a wife and kids. This thing happens to him and half of the internet is celebrating. Where's the outrage for the actual criminals? And you guys who have watched the channel for a while, you'll know that I'm not a traditional conservative like he is, and I disagree with probably a majority of his political opinions. I think his stance on, Israel and the Gaza situation is absolutely horrible, and I think it's fair to say that he was a shill for the Republican Party and the current administration. There's a lot of criticisms you can make, but those are not crimes in and of themselves. It seems like after 2020, or at some point within the past decade or so, we as people just forgot how to treat each other as human beings. Somewhere along the way, we literally lost that ability. People don't actually have empathy anymore. Not the people who virtue signal about having empathy, then turn around and mock someone's death, but real empathy, which means trying to see other people's perspectives and understanding that at the end of the day, everyone is a human and treating each other how you want to be treated. I think it's time to have a honest conversation about political extremism, because nowadays it's getting more insane than ever.